What's up guys, and welcome back to Paul's Hardware. This is hopefully the long-awaited final build log for Riptide, the system right here, which costs well over $10,000, especially when you include all the water cooling parts. I have been building this over the past month or month and a half, and it's been a lot of work. Things haven't all gone smoothly, but fortunately, I think today I have things all figured out for the final steps.
Excellent!
The RC100 NVMe SSD and XS700 portable SSD are both powered by Toshiba's advanced 3D BICS flash memory, meaning you get solid state speeds at an affordable price. The XS700 is a wicked fast external drive with USB 3.1 Gen 2 via a Type-C connector, and the RC100 may be small, but its M.2 NVMe interface means sequential read and write speeds at well over 1000 megabytes per second. Click the sponsor link in the description to learn more.
So let's start off by going over some of this stuff I got. Some stuff arrived in the mail. I got a Cobalt drill bit set that can easily drill through metal. I wanted some smaller ones of these. More on that in just a second. I also got this little water bottle with a squirter top, and this is hopefully to make it a little bit easier to fill in the top since I do not have a dedicated fill port. But in the part 4 video where everything went wrong, the main issues were in this area with the pumps and the reservoirs. I have these cool Helix reservoirs from Alphacool. Alphacool pretty much provided all of the water cooling parts in this build, and these are separate. They're not part of the actual pump unit down there, so I had to use a fitting to connect it up, and I was figuring out different ways of doing that down here. After thinking I had everything figured out, I realized that there are actually holes on the bottom of these reservoirs as well, and the plugs that I needed to put on those were spacing them off from the pumps back here, and that made it not sit right. But I have a solution for that, and I think I also have a solution for the pump mounting themselves. So I got the other reservoir here just so I can kind of show you guys. There's the 90-degree down at the bottom, and this is actually the old configuration that I had set up. My solution configuration is basically just to flip the 90-degree so that the rotary part's actually on this side, and I'm just using a different rotary extender on this side, which gives it a little bit more height and gives clearance so I can put the caps on the bottom, and it actually sits on there, and that's actually sitting there pretty cleanly. But even with it sitting here, roughly where it would be vertically, the 90-degree at the top does not have clearance, and I'm gonna need a 90-degree coming off of the top of both of these to get liquid back in as part of the loop. Now fortunately, this entire unit can come off because there is a base plate here that it's connected up to, that everything is mounted to. And I actually really like this base plate. I like that everything's contained on it, and I like that after everything is set up, I should be able to remove this whole combo unit by itself if I need to adjust anything or get behind it or anything like that. But here though, I can show you the spacing of this adapter up here, and this is the solution from the things going wrong in the first build. And with those spacers there, you can see it's sitting pretty much flush and pretty much vertical, and that's really all I wanted, was for it to be able to sit like that. So I can do that with both of these pumps and both of those reservoirs. And then in order to solve my vertical clearance issue, I have, of course, the drill bits that are over here. And that is simply to drill some new holes on these metal mounts that Alphacool provided. And the goal would be to lower the pumps by, I'm going to say, about a ½ of an inch or so. So I need to drill new holes right about there. I should be able to do that on all sides, even this back one here that's holding both of them up, and then I will be able to lower these pumps to take advantage of some of the clearance that's down there at the bottom. As you can probably see, I'll still need to leave enough space so that the wire can come back out of there, which it can bend a little bit, but that should give me enough space so that up at the top I have enough clearance for that 90-degree. If I can get all that set up, I think I will be on the home stretch of just doing the final bends that I need to cut and get plumbed up here and there, and then I can actually fill things up. So all of that said, it's time to get to work once again on Riptide. Well, it is the next morning, so it is an ideal time for a little pick-me-up, little wake-up juice. That's delicious. Actually, Joe discovered this is just Red Bull with the Alphacool label on it. But let's take a look at the system. So as you may have seen last night, I managed to get both loops all set up and filled. It was very fun, very challenging. Was up pretty late, so that's why I'm a little tired this morning, but thankfully there are no leaks. So my paper towel stuff in here didn't pick up anything as far as I could tell. So I think I'm pretty happy with all of the tubing runs that I have. I was trying to keep them relatively simple, but like, you know, I have this idea of how it should look in my head from how hardline goes, so I wanted everything to be pretty smooth, straight curves from here to there. The only thing I think I might redo is potentially this one back here. I'm actually kind of holding that in place with a couple Velcro pieces, which I just use a screw to actually screw into the radiator to hold it in place, which is okay for now. That run is a little bit more challenging because I still have to be able to access the front radiator drawer thingy there and be able to pull that out and push it back in, so that needs to be able to kind of come out and move back in with it. But for now, I think everything's looking pretty good. So I have one last major job to do on this before I can sort of finish off this video and maybe give you guys some sexy B-roll, and that is the cable management. Remember kids, don't forget to plug in your SATA cables before you install your graphics cards. Here's a small dilemma I wasn't quite expecting. Our SF600 small form factor mini ATX power supply needs to provide power to the 4 hard drives for the NAS build. It actually has a peripheral cable here with 4 SATA cables on it, but the cable length between the plug on the power supply side and where our hard drives stop is not long enough. This is the only cable with SATA that comes in the kit. So I could of course use these Molex plugs. It comes with one of those as well and just use some adapters, but decided to take this old and slightly crappy PCI Express power cable extension from Rosewell. I'm going to snip these off and then use that to extend this far enough to be able to plug those in. Quite a few people with the earlier videos, as well as some of the pictures I've posted, have complained about this SLI Bridge, which is just the default one that comes with the Zenith Extreme in there. So I'm upgrading to an aftermarket SLI Bridge, high bandwidth SLI Bridge. There's a few of them on the market, I'm not a huge fan of the aesthetics, the looks of a lot of them. I've used the ASUS one already on Arctic Panther, so I wanted to go with something different. This is the Zotac high bandwidth SLI Bridge, dual card spacing. It's got a nice sort of matte finish. It's just plastic, and this little O lights up in white. So even though I have no Zotac products in this build, I think this will look much better. But it won't. Okay. Okay, Zotac, what did you do? All right. For reasons unknown to me, Zotac has put these little ridges on the top of their SLI things. That's conflicting with our blocks. I like how this looks though, so I think I can modify this. Gonna get the rotary tool out one more time. All right, guys, I have done quite a few builds on this channel, and there's always a moment of truth at the end of each one where we power it on for the first time, and I've never been more excited / nervous, I think, than this one right here. So I have two systems to power on. I'm gonna start off with the small system here in the back, and that will just make sure that my fan configuration is working properly. It's already got lights on the motherboard, so things are looking good. Here's a little power. All right, we got fans on that. We got a rear exhaust fan back here. And just as planned, we also have two of the front intakes, the bottommost ones providing some air intake, so that'll provide some fresh air for the hard drives there, as well as some air to come back here to cool off this system while it's up and running, and then of course a little bit of exhaust up at the top. Now, let's power on the big guy. It's always more intimidating when it has a special style plug that you can only plug in one way. Lights on the motherboard. Oh, glorious. Ooh. We have water flowing in both pumps. Hope to God there's no leaks still going on. That's cool. All right, guys, given how nervous I was about all of the complexity and various parts installed in here and the water cooling loop and everything, I'd say this is a pretty successful first boot. Of course, I've got nothing plugged in back here, so who knows? Maybe none of this hardware actually works, but things are looking up for now. Now I know there's a few things that I still haven't handled. For example, I never swapped in the blue coils here and the helix reservoirs to see how those look. That's still a possible thing that I can do though, thanks to all the quick disconnects and everything. This is not that challenging of a loop to disassemble if I need to get in there to do more stuff. The cable management, however, is fairly challenging, but at least everything's wired up and fits in there and everything seems to be working. Now, you might have noticed that there's a couple inserts for these helix reservoirs. There's actually a UV cathode that goes in there, and I broke the one on the left one. So right now those aren't connected, but I might be adding a little bit more color to that area. I'm gonna plug those in once we get a replacement in and see how that looks. But I could also, of course, use more suggestions. So if you guys have any feedback for me aesthetically, if you think it needs more lights in this area or that area, let me know how you think this tubing looks. Actually, now that the lights are on it with the frosted look, I think that looks really cool. But guys, I'm gonna end this video with a bit of a montage of Riptide in its at least initial finished form. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this build series. And of course, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe, because I will have at least one more follow-up video on this where I actually get the system up and running, test some of the parts and the NAS and all of that good stuff. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.